Well, we'll do a quick countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the BrOtaku Alliance podcast. I am your host, Sean. That is...
My name is Reese. If y'all haven't heard me already,
which I'm sure you have. You
which
probably
I'm sure
have.
you have from the other podcast.
Yep. And this is the BrOtaku Alliance podcast, which I said before. This is the podcast where we talk about anime and manga and all things anime and manga related.
Yes, sir.
So, just to start right into it, the last time we were here, we talked about High Guardian Spice, and Tyrese has watched it since then.
Yes, the first 15 minutes of the first episode.
You couldn't get past that.
I couldn't get past 15 minutes. I was already confused.
Yeah, it does that.
They didn't get, like, I know, like, certain shows that give, like, backstories of, like, the origins of magic or what guardians do and the forces of darkness they fight or the forces of darkness they face, but no, they just started off, like, partially in stage going off, saying goodbye to their families, her having her mother's sword. They just completely left
Yep.
without any explanation or whatsoever.
It's a cold open, but the whole first episode.
Yeah.
Like, they just jump right into it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's unlike something like Game of Thrones, which has, at the time when the show started, like 4 books already of source material. So it's like most people, the people who were already fans, they didn't need
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of exposition and explanation. But it's like when you have a brand new show that's just a show, like there's no source material,
Yeah.
the first, like, we need some sort of explanation as far as like who these people are, what do
Mm-hmm.
they do, what are they good at, what are they bad at, maybe like what are their connections, who do they
Yep.
know, like just basic information about the characters or the world at least.
Exactly. They could have told us a little bit more about the world itself. Like, is it just the continent they're in, or is it the entire planet that they're traveling? Because the world is at stake, or no, they just jump right into it.
Yeah, and I now that I think about it, since we're talking about the world, I mentioned in the last podcast that I watched, I think, the first 7 episodes. There was never, I'm trying to think, I don't think there was ever any map or like any explanation as far as like where they were or where anything else was, like where the cities are in relation to each other. Like
Right?
there was never any map. Like, now that I think about it, pretty much every other show that does something like that, at some point there's a map.
Yes. Or they tell you the country's name or the continent's name.
Right. And where things are.
Yeah.
And there was none of that.
Wow.
So yeah, High Guardian Spice. Check it out. So, Tyrese, I'm kind of sad because I feel like I might have to spoil you.
Wow, what happened? Wait, is it One Piece related?
It is One Piece related.
Okay, go.
It's a soft spoiler. It's nothing crazy.
Okay.
So, there's a new crew member.
And
It's
the
not
Straw Hat?
official yet. It's not official yet, but there is a new crew member.
Okay.
I don't know. You're not in Wano yet, so you haven't met her. If I even should call her her. There's a dispute amongst the One Piece community because
Okay.
in Wano there were 2 characters introduced that could be considered transgender characters.
Hmm.
However, one of them is a clear-cut, like, definitely a transgender character. This is someone who was born male, who identifies as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
dresses as a woman, has taken a new name, right?
Yeah.
Wears makeup, like, clearly a transgender character, right?
Right.
Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. On the flip side, there is another character who was born female, dresses as a female,
Right.
has her original name, except she is infatuated with a samurai whose name was Odin.
Hmm.
Infatuated to the point that she wants to be Odin.
Uh,
So Odin was a man. So because Odin was a man, this character sees herself as a man. Not because she wants to be a man specifically.
But because she idolizes that samurai.
Exactly. So there is some dispute amongst the community as to what the fuck to call her.
Yeah.
Is she a woman? Is she a man? Is she really transgender? If she doesn't want to be a man, she just wants to be this person who happens to be a man. If
Right.
Odin was a woman, she wouldn't be saying, I'm a woman, I'm a man,
Mm-hmm.
right? Plus, this is all compounded by the fact that she still dresses as a woman.
Mm.
So this all kind of came to a head in the past chapter because the fighting portion of the arc has ended.
Okay.
And there's the scene in every arc, like the Straw Hats do when they, after the fight, they have
They
the
always
kind of,
party.
yeah, they have the party and the wind down, right?
Mhm.
There's a bathhouse scene.
Oh boy. I already know where this is going. Just
So,
so
so the trans woman who was born male decides to bathe with the women.
okay, yep.
Again, most people don't really see an issue with that,
I don't either.
right? The issue comes with the fact that the woman who
Bathes
wants to
with
be
men.
Odin decides to bathe with the men. And like just titties just out,
Right?
like she's like like she hasn't done anything to make herself look more manly.
Yeah.
She just says like, yeah, you can call me Odin. My name's Yamato, but you can call me
Oh,
Odin.
Odin.
Yeah, I identify as Odin. It's like, all right, but are you a
Basically,
man or a woman? Well, Odin was a man, so I'm a man. It's like, okay, but you're wearing a dress. Yeah, but I'm
right.
Odin. So now she's in the bath with the men, and as you would imagine, some characters are a little bit more I'll say shocked than others. Particularly Sanji
And Brooke, I bet.
and Brooke. And Brooke. They they are, if Brooke's nose could bleed, it would be bleeding.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but it's one of those things that just nobody knows what the fuck to think about it.
Yeah.
And it's like you almost just want to not think about it because that's the easier thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a hard thing to kind of like figure out because someone identifying, and this by the way is something that's popping up more and more in anime as a whole. I feel like anime has always been a very forward thinking or progressive medium, I guess, when it comes to LGBT
Right.
representation and characters and things like that. American cartoons are sort of just now getting onto that wave,
Yep.
whereas like anime, partially because anime, most of it is actually not for kids.
Yeah.
But for decades, I can think back to there being gay or trans characters in animes and mangas.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was like said overtly or if it was just something that didn't need to be said, you kind of just knew
Yeah.
certain characters in love with others. Like the girl, I forget her name in Bleach, the one who was Ichigo's best friend, short hair, who was like in love with Orihime. It was never like said overtly, but like she was like Ichigo's friend as a kid. Like she knew his mom. They went to
Oh, I
the
know
sword, like the kendo together,
Yeah.
and she kind of stuck with it, and he gave it up.
Mm-hmm.
But she was like obviously in love with Orihime.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the other girl who was very obviously in love with Orihime, like in their friend group. So it's like they're even back then, this is like early 2000s, and it's a shonen, so it's like this is for younger audiences, and there are
Yeah.
clearly like lesbian characters or gay characters. The what are they? Espada. There was a gay character
Yeah.
in there, so it's like, you know, it happens. But Oda, what he's done is like very interesting because he'll give you the Okamas, and Impel Down.
Yeah.
Like he'll go all the way with it, but then he'll throw in a character like this where it's kind of just like, what what is this? Like
Yeah.
what is this? What's happening? So I thought that was kind of interesting. But again, that's like
Yeah.
something that's sort of unique to Oda and to One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your thoughts on like LGBT representation, LGBTQ?
You.
Every
Yeah.
year there's a new letter. Sorry if that was offensive, but it's true. Uh, and I guess not just anime, but cartoons in general.
Like as you said before, there's no like problem. I don't have a problem with it per se. I for one like support that, as
Mm-hmm.
in as in like old animes and cartoons like Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
They were like gay characters and like trans characters too, but gay characters I know from the main group. And it's like, yeah, cartoons are also getting involved in that too. Steven Universe was also
Yeah,
a prime example for LGBTQ.
yeah. There's
But
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
what else was I getting ready to say? Uh, Also, I think Avatar was like that too with Korra. They didn't really hint at it,
Yeah,
but at the end with Korra and the other chick, at the end,
Asami.
Asame, at the end, they just say, "Oh, we gonna throw that in there at the end."
Yeah, and you can tell that they probably wanted to do it from the
Yeah.
beginning, but Nickelodeon, I'm sure, gave them a hard time about it,
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
they had to do it in a way more subtle way. They
Hmm.
couldn't give Korra and Asami the typical sort of romantic path that we saw with like Aang and Katara
Oh
or
yeah.
Zuko and Mei. Like we saw romances in that show
Hmm.
before, but because these were two female characters, I guess they probably couldn't do it the same exact way. So it was
Hmm.
so subtle to the point that when it did sort of happen, a lot of people were just like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like what's happening?" So it did feel like it came out of nowhere, and not
Hmm.
they tried to retcon it or like whatever. Like no, if you were paying attention, like it was like that the whole time. Like when Korra was going through stuff, Asami was the only one who was writing it. And it's like, but at the same time, Korra also told her like, "Hey, don't tell anybody else where I'm at
Yeah.
or like what I'm saying to you." Like, so it's tough with certain networks. But what's interesting is that that same network, Nickelodeon, now has a show called The Loud House,
Oh yeah.
which a lot of people were actually protesting because there are several gay characters in that show. Um, Clyde, who's like the best friend character,
Hmm.
he has two dads. Uh, one of the what's the main character's name? Is it Lucas? I can't remember. But one of his sisters is gay. I think Luann, and because of that, a lot of parents were like really pissed off with Nickelodeon, and they tried to get it taken off the air.
Damn.
Um, I don't know if it's still airing, but for the most part, like it was one of those things that even in a kids show, because it is a kids show, like they don't
Yeah.
nobody kisses. There's no like sexual innuendo or anything like
Hmm.
that. But even just the fact that you have a kid who has two dads, and there's a girl who's like not even a kid, like she's a kid, but she's in her early teens. She's like
Right.
13 years old. The fact that she likes a girl was enough to get all these people like this up in arms about a show where nothing really happens. Like
Yeah.
Clyde has two dads. They don't show them kissing. They don't really hug either. Like they're almost just comedic relief.
Hmm.
Like they're there to be funny because they're two very different like characters.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how we as a society are just sort of coming around to this sort of thing, whereas Japan, I wouldn't say that they're like way ahead of America, but for the most part, when it comes to media, they seem to be a little bit more I guess, open with what gets put out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, but I thought that was interesting. But I have a question for you. What is your favorite thing that you are reading slash watching right now?
Right now, the favorite thing, uh, does One Piece count that I'm reading right now?
Sure, sure, sure. We can count One Piece. And oops, excuse me. Where just to check in, where are you now? Have you hit Zoe yet?
Yeah, I was planning on reading after we was done this podcast.
Okay.
I, it's like a short. I heard you told me it was short, so
Yeah,
I
it
should be
is.
done like tonight, and probably tomorrow. I'm like going through Whole Cake Island.
Yeah, I think Zoe altogether is like 20 chapters.
Damn, I can get that done in like an hour or so.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a lot at all.
Damn.
It's pretty short. But it is important, and there's information that's going to be important. But also, and this isn't a true spoiler, but also regarding One Piece, we are probably going to see the third admiral soon.
Oh, the one of the new
Uh,
admirals.
yeah. Do you know his name? Because actually, no, you don't.
I've heard of him. I've heard someone say he's well. All the admirals have like titles as like
Yeah.
animals. I heard he's the Green Bull.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
all I know.
Yeah. So he's gonna be showing up soon. Um, Wano, a lot is happening. A lot is happening.
So I bet.
Did I tell you that they're going on break for a month?
Yeah.
So yeah, so one of the final two chapters of the arc of Wano, one of them just came out, and the next one comes out tomorrow night or Friday morning. Well, the officials come out Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but you know you can read it like the unofficial translations as early as sometimes Thursday night.
Right.
So we shall see. We shall see. I'm very excited. Also, I gotta get back into Black Clover.
I
Like
do too.
I'm so behind, but I do that on purpose. But at the same time, I can't get too far
Yeah.
because then it makes it that much more difficult to get caught up.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, like it's getting pretty crazy right now.
So I've heard.
Yeah, so I definitely got to get back into Black Clover. I'm maybe what 3 chapters or 4 chapters behind on My Hero. I'm fully caught up on Kaiju number 8. I'm fully caught up on One Piece. I'm
I
fully
need to
caught
read.
up on Tokyo Revengers. I'm still a little bit behind on Jujutsu Kaisen.
Same.
And what else am I fully caught up on? I believe Chainsaw Man.
Yep. That I finished.
Yeah. Obviously Attack on Titan is over. Demon Slayer is over.
Yep.
But the animes are still gonna come out. What do you feel? How do you feel about what they're doing with Attack on Titan with the anime?
Oh, don't get me started on that. They said it was the final season over and over again. Now we're
Yeah.
what, part 3?
Yeah.
At this point, it should have been like a movie or something.
Well, at first I thought that's what they were gonna do. They were gonna take the last because there's really not much left.
There's really not that much left. They could have just like
They were
made
gonna
like
take
really one long episode, like an hour long episode or something.
Yeah, they were gonna take what was left and release it as a movie. That's what I heard originally. Now it's a whole nother season.
For what for though?
I don't know. It's like it has to be max 5 episodes left. If that. Like there's really not much left.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know if maybe the author wrote some stuff specifically for the anime
Maybe.
that's gonna be in it, but I really don't know how they're gonna stretch this out any further. But
Yeah.
it's clear that that's the goal. Like they're gonna, unless they're gonna take these last couple episodes and just animate it like it's a movie, then that's one thing. But then at the same time, it's like Mappa's kind of already been doing that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Demon Slayer. Like the animation in Demon Slayer is so good that the movie barely looked any different.
Yeah.
Like it used to be when you animated a movie, you put everything into that animation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see the show, it's like, okay, this is good enough. Like it's good and it's good enough for people to continue watching. But the movies always had way better animation. But now they're putting so much into the show, partially probably because shows aren't lasting like they used to.
Yeah.
So it's not costing you as much to put great animation into 26 episodes or whatever as it would into something like Naruto, which has what, like 700 episodes? No, like four. I think it's like mid fours.
Talking like first Naruto, yeah, like 4.
Yeah. Oh no, actually no. Naruto altogether, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden has over 700 episodes. Yeah. But again, it's like the movie. You can't put that same type of effort into every episode of something that has 700 plus episodes. So it makes sense. But when you have something that's kind of short, like Demon Slayer, you can do that.
Yeah.
But with Attack on Titan, it's not short. Like, once Attack on Titan finishes, there will be probably, 4 seasons. Each one was about, the first season was 15 episodes. Second season was 25 episodes.
5? 24, yeah, 25.
Third season was, I think, 15 again. So it's like, there will be close to 60, maybe 70 plus episodes by the time it's done.
Yeah.
And they put so much into the animation that's why they have to keep taking these long ass breaks. Like, people who watch it now fail to, like, people who caught up recently and binge watched it, they don't realize that between season 2 and 3, or no, between seasons 1 and 2, there was like a 2-year gap.
Yeah.
And then between seasons 2 and 3, there was like another 4-year gap. So it's like, at some point, we'll take regular animation if you can just give us the episode.
Yeah, at this point.
Just give us the show. I'm not going to say we don't care what it looks like, but it's like, if you can just give us average animation, we'll take it. Just put the episodes out. And One Piece is kind of doing the same thing now, where like the animation in Wano is so different. And it makes me a little bit, not worried, but like how they're going to do the movie. The film Red.
Yeah.
Which I've now decided I'm going to watch.
Really?
Yeah. I'll probably watch it. Because I think it's going to come out during this month break, I think.
It comes out in August, I think.
Oh, okay. Well,
August
so...
6th.
But remember, Oda's taking off until the end of July. Well, he's taking off until about the end of July. Well, yeah, so the anime will still be going.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just watch the anime. We'll see. I'll still probably watch the movie. If it's in theaters, I definitely want to go see it. Because I haven't seen an anime in theaters since BrOtaku.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So,
gotta get
that taste out of my mouth.
Since Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Which I apologize.
Oh, yeah. Which, fuck you, by the way.
I apologize again if I haven't already.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but it's all right because I wasn't caught up at that point anyway. Or well,
it was more like a flashback.
Yeah, I was gonna say the movies aren't really canon. Was it canon?
It took place before the main story, so.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I could have watched it.
Yeah.
I probably still will. But yeah, I noticed that I don't really do a lot of anime movies. And I had this conversation with one of my friends earlier. I don't watch a lot of animated movies for a second time or sequels. Like,
That's
it
weird.
took
I
me.
don't either.
I've never seen. I saw Toy Story. I saw Toy Story 2. I barely remember it. I haven't seen any of the other ones. I haven't seen
4. Wait, did I see 3? I don't remember.
I didn't see 3. I haven't seen. I love Men in Black. I haven't seen all the Men in Black movies. I've seen 1, 2, and did I see 3? I don't think so. No, I did. I didn't see 4. 4 was the one with Tessa Thompson, the spinoff with Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I didn't see. There's a lot of movies that I love that have had sequels that I just didn't watch. I haven't seen half the Fast and Furious movies. I haven't seen most of the Toy Story movies. I haven't seen most of like Atlantis. There was a second Atlantis. I didn't even know
I did
about it.
what?
Yup.
Really? This is
There's an
news to me
Atlantis
too.
2. There's a Frozen 2. Never
I've
saw
seen.
that.
Okay, that one I've actually seen.
I barely even saw all of Frozen. Like for the most part, cuz you know what it is too? I feel like back in the day, animated movies didn't have sequels. They had shows.
That's true. Yeah.
Like Hercules,
Oh yeah,
after
the
the
show.
movie came out, they had
It
the
was
show.
yeah, that I remember.
With Lion King, after Lion King came out, Timon and Pumbaa, the show came out.
Hmm.
Then they did Lion King 2, which I eventually saw, but I was still like, I watched the show, and then when the movie came out, it still was a while before I ended up watching the movie. Lilo and Stitch never had a second movie. They had the show.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, I think I'm more accustomed to like the show format than like going back and seeing a sequel to a movie. Unless it's something like Marvel.
That's true. Yeah.
Because the Marvel movies you kind of have to see in order for them to all make sense.
Yep.
Um, with animated movies and like cartoon, like animes and things like that, it's not exactly the same.
Hmm.
Like Ghost in the Shell had a second movie, never saw it.
Never saw it either.
Like it's just like that with a lot of them. I think I saw Afro Samurai, never saw the second one. Like there's a lot of movies that I just kind of, a lot of movies and shows that I kind of just like after the first one's done, I'm just like, that's it. Like I don't think I'm gonna watch the Game of Thrones spinoff either.
They have a spinoff.
Yeah, it's coming out. I think this year. It's about the Targaryens,
Wow.
but it's like I don't think I'm gonna watch that. I think I'd rather just read the books. Plus, I didn't really like how Game of Thrones ended. I think most people didn't actually. It was pretty bad. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Film Red looks good. Shanks is one of my favorite characters.
Same.
There's a lot going on with One Piece right now. The live action stuff is going, seems to be going smooth as far as like the filming and all that.
Hmm.
So there's definitely a lot to look forward to. And I guess it makes sense because like like they said, it's coming to a close now. It's wrapping up.
Wow.
Lucky
Never.
you, by the way. The fact that you got to just binge what
Oh yeah.
what is probably going to end up being like 90% of the show.
Oh yeah. Imagine if I was like you, like waiting for the chapters to come out,
Yeah. And
especially in Dressrosa.
the crazy thing is, when I started, it was like 2015. So like 5, 6, 7 years ago. There's only been maybe 5 arcs since then.
Okay.
Like not even the whole. I think not even the whole New World. I think the New World, the time skip was in like 2010
Yeah.
because Dressrosa was so long.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was like 3 years. Dressrosa alone. So
Yeah.
so
that
like
was over like I don't. That's over like 70 chapters of Dressrosa, I think.
yeah. And now Wano is even longer. Wano has been almost 4 years.
Damn.
2018 I think it started.
Wow.
So like it's crazy. And the fact that I've been reading this for 7 years
That's
and
crazy.
it's not even half the story. Like it's not even close to half. And it won't be.
No.
Like by the time I'm done, or by the time One Piece is done, I will probably have read about half the story. I will probably have been reading it for about 10 to 12 years.
Wow.
But by then the story itself will have been like 27 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
I don't know if there's ever been something like this where it's lasted this long and it's had one author.
I know.
Like looking at some of the stats for One Piece is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Sold more units worldwide than Batman and Spider-Man, which have had multiple authors, been out for like decades on decades on decades, like
Mm-hmm.
since the 60s.
Yeah, the 60s.
And One Piece has outsold both of them. I think it's only second to Superman, and it might overtake Superman soon.
God damn, look at Oda go. Oh,
Right,
go, go Oda.
one author, about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been writing this since he's 17. Like it's crazy. It's crazy, and he's in his 40s now.
Wow.
So yeah, man. I hats off to you, Oda. You're one of a kind.
Yes, I give it
But
to you.
so let me ask you this: have you read any light novels?
Light novels. Um, so I'm pretty sure that time I got reincarnated as a slime was like a light novel.
Yeah.
I read some of that and ReZero too.
Oh, I didn't know ReZero was a light novel.
I didn't either.
Um, yeah, I want to start reading Slime. It's just a little bit harder because I feel like manga is way more accessible than light novels.
Yeah, that's true.
There's way more places where you can go to read manga than there are to read the light novels.
Novels.
And
Mm-hmm.
then the light not like the translations. It's harder to translate a light novel than it is a manga
Yeah.
because there's no panels, there's
Mm-hmm.
no thought bubble or text bubbles or whatever for you to know exactly who's saying what. So if you're a translator, it's probably a little bit harder to nail it
Mm-hmm.
down when you don't have the image to go with it. But I do want to start reading it because that's one of my favorite animes right now. But it's also kind of interesting because it's one of the few that I like where the main character doesn't really face any adversity. Like not face any adversity, but it's like they're clearly the strongest person.
Yeah.
And it's like typically you would think something like that would be kind of boring where they don't really have a whole lot of real challenges. It's like One Punch Man.
Yeah. Like that too.
Like nobody's touching Saitama. And yet it's still enjoyable to watch
Right?
because it's like normally you want to see the main character like overcome something.
Yeah.
Like Naruto started off weak, then he got stronger. You know, like the list goes on. Asta and Black Clover, like for the most part, a main character has to start off at the bottom and then work their way to the top.
But no, Saitama was already at the top and he will stay there until
Yeah,
I don't know.
Saitama, uh, Rim, like that's just even in Overlord, which I'm
Ainz will
watching
come.
right now. Yeah, like there's nothing you can do with them, and yet somehow it's just fun to just watch them beat people up.
Yeah. Maybe
And
it's because
the story in the world is intriguing enough for you to stay
that's
with it.
yep. I was about to say that too. Maybe it's because they're in a whole new world. They gotta like go out, gather information, and see like
Yeah,
who can they trust or like who they can watch their back with, who they can
right,
watch their back or keep tabs on. It's
right.
stuff like that gets it interesting.
Yeah, it becomes the fighting becomes secondary to the adventure.
Yeah, I enjoy the story more than I enjoy the battle.
Yeah.
Honestly,
But
that's
even then, One Punch Man is still kind of an outlier because there's not really any exploration or anything like that. Like he's not in a new world. He's just
in the
it's
same
just
city.
yeah, he's just constantly fighting new people and just
Yeah,
beating
that's
their
true.
ass.
Mm-hmm.
One Mob Psycho is the same way. Like
That's
Mob is overcoming a different type of adversity
mm-hmm.
because he's like socially awkward
Yep.
and his struggle is becoming a well-rounded person,
That's true.
not fighting. like like nobody's touching Mob when it comes to psychic abilities or powers
Yep.
or anything like that. He's literally just trying to like work out like that's his
Any
struggle.
like work out any issues or insecurities he have and just live a normal life right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Maybe get a girlfriend. Like
Yeah.
just like regular people stuff. That's what he's going through. That's
Mm-hmm.
his issues. If anything, his powers are an inconvenience to him.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't enjoy. He barely even uses them when he doesn't have to.
Yeah. That's true.
he really doesn't care very much for it. And when he first meets Teru, who's like he's based his whole personality around being powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then he beats his mob beats his ass, and he's just like he's like, well, I guess I don't know. I guess I'm a good guy now. Like he literally like beats his motivation out of him.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, all right, well, whatever, man. Like I guess I don't know. I guess I'll just go to school. like like Teru like thought he was the main character, and like Mob was just like, nah.
No.
Like you're not, bro. You're just a normal guy, and we're just gonna do normal guy stuff. And Teru was like, all right.
Yeah, okay. I'm along for the ride at this point.
Yeah, right. But then it's like he kind of has to get Mob in shape. Like
That's
bro,
true. Yeah.
sometimes we actually have to fight. And Mob is just like, you shouldn't hurt people. And it's like some people need to be hurt, Bob.
Hurt.
But yeah, I love Mob. I wish they continued that. That was a very interesting animation style as well that they chose.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to One Punch Man, but
Yep.
even more weird and just wacky. Like the eyes, he has the same eyes as Saitama.
Yep.
And when he gets mad or intense, like, you know, the eyes turn into regular anime eyes. But
And then his hair.
yeah,
And his
yep,
hair goes up.
yep. So yeah, I like those types of shows. But at the same time, it's like it typically doesn't work.
Yeah.
It typically, like, Goblin Slayer was one that I kind of put down because it was just like, all right, I don't know where this is going.
Yeah.
I don't know what the goal is. Like, I don't know if he's just trying to literally kill all the goblins, or if it's something that's going to end up being more like Attack on Titan. Like with Attack on Titan, the premise was really simple. It was just like this kid wants to kill Titans.
Mm-hmm.
But it was made way more interesting by the fact that you didn't know why there are Titans in the first place.
That is true.
Where do Titans come from? You know, why do they eat humans? Like, there were so many mysteries. But with Goblin Slayer, it was just like, it was explained very easily. Like, there are goblins. Yeah. They're around. They're evil little fucks. And I'm just going to kill them all. And it's just
That's true.
Okay. But the goblins aren't doing enough for me to hate them as much as you. So it's like, I'm just watching you. I'm basically watching you exterminate a pest.
Pretty much. He's the exterminator.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't work on the same level.
Yeah. Just him exclusively targeting one specific type of monster.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything else. Just one race of monsters.
Right. And he's a specialist.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but at the same time, it's like he's a specialist because he's got this like revenge thing going, but not many of the skills that he's gained from killing goblins are applicable anywhere else. Like, you're not gonna kill a dragon with the skills you got from slaying goblins.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's so good at killing goblins that it doesn't even matter how many there are at one point. Like, he'll do it.
He'll just find a way to kill him somehow.
Right. Because he just knows them that well. But at the same time, if you took somebody who could kill a dragon by themselves and you put them up against like 30 goblins, they could probably do the same thing.
Yeah. Maybe
even a little bit easier. But it's interesting. It's an interesting premise. You got a guy who's like, it's almost like in games where you get points for beating monsters.
Yeah.
And you got the guy who like doesn't even bother with the strong monsters. He literally just levels up by beating lots and lots and lots of the lower level monsters.
Yep.
That's what Goblin Slayer is. Like, he's gotten to the status that he has by killing what most people see as just a nuisance, not even like a real,
like an actual threat.
A threat. Yeah.
He's
like
level
goblins
70 killing level 10 monsters.
Yeah, but he's killing like dozens of them at a time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's still impressive, but it's not as impressive as if he was like, fighting something that could actually just straight up overpower him and kill them on its own.
Like a dragon or a demon lord.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it didn't really hold my interest to quite the same level. Plus, on top of that, it's kind of one of those manga or anime that definitely takes the sort of sexual side of things to
Mm-hmm.
a higher level, but
Yep.
sometimes it seems like there's no purpose for it.
Yeah.
Like when that first episode when they were showing like how evil the goblins were,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I get this might be why he hates them so much, but there's no explanation as to why they do this.
Yeah.
Like, are they that smart? Like, are they intelligent to that level? Like, it doesn't make sense that they would want to do some of the things that they do. They're not
Mm-hmm.
once you start doing that, like you're not just a monster anymore. Like
Yeah.
you're not like a mindless beast.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just an evil person. So it's like if that's the case, people should be taking goblins a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
But they kind of just don't. They see them as like just this inconvenience or like this nuisance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because they mostly hang out in like the outskirts, like the rural areas, so most
Yep.
people just don't interact with them. But it's like you would think people would recognize like, okay, goblins are more than just monsters. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're basically evil little people. And then
Yep.
but then like they would just go right back to being regular monsters. Just like I don't understand what's up with this. Like was that other scene just kind of for shock value or what? Like
Yeah.
it stopped making sense. Then it was the one where like he got injured and he woke up in the bed
Oh
with
yeah, I
the
remember that.
priestess who was naked and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Yeah, you can heal if you lay in bed with the priestess." And it's like, "Well, did you have to be naked? Did we
Yeah.
have sex?" Like it was never explained how
That
this
was never
works.
explained.
Like how does this magic work? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, so some shows get it right, some shows don't.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Goblin Slayer was in. I still haven't actually. That reminds me, I still haven't checked out Berserk yet.
I've heard about it. One of my friends told me the animation quality was like trash, but it'll be better if you read the manga,
Yeah,
the actual manga.
that's what I was gonna do because I did see a little bit of the anime and I stopped it immediately. I was like, nope,
Yeah.
because they do like that weird 3D
Mm-hmm.
animation, and I'm just not into that. I don't like the 3D animation. I don't like it when it's all 3D
Yeah.
because low budget 3D animation is worse than low budget
Yeah.
2D animation.
Yeah.
Is way worse. And the only time you're getting good 3D animation is if it's a movie.
That's
Like you
true.
have at least like a few $1 million behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just not gonna get that from a new anime. So it was like low budget at 3D animation. It was bad,
Yep.
and I'll read the manga. I'll read the manga before I do anything else. Like at
Yep.
least with a show like Demon Slayer, they mix it.
They Unfathomable. They mix the 2D and the 3D. That's what
Yeah,
I really love. I think Fate does that too.
yeah, they do, and that's fine. That looks great
Yeah.
when you mix them. You can have 3D backgrounds
Yep.
and 2D characters.
Just not all 3D.
Exactly. That's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfectly fine. That looks a lot of times that looks great. That's what makes some of these shows so much better to watch than some of the
Over.
older
Yeah.
shows.
Overlord was like that too. I'm pretty sure. Mixing 2D
I
and 3D.
think so. I think so. Yeah. The first movie that I remember that doing was Tarzan.
Yeah.
The with the vines and stuff like when he's swinging through the jungle.
Yep.
Those vines and all that is 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Atlantis, I think Treasure Planet.
Yep.
Like there are a lot of movies that are a mixture of 3D and 2D animation. And usually it works out fine.
Yep.
But when you try to do all 3D, you need to have like a lot of money behind it and
Mm-hmm.
usually that takes a really long time.
Yep.
Like there's a reason Incredibles 2 took forever to come out. Like even something like not Atlantis, Avatar. Not The Last Airbender, the movie Avatar with the blue
Yeah.
people.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why James Cameron has taken so long to make the second one is because The
Yep.
animation and the motion capture is so difficult, and it's so hard to get it right. And because the second one is supposed to take place, a lot of the scenes are underwater,
Yeah.
and as we've already seen with like Aquaman, like it's hard to do underwater live action filming
Mm-hmm.
because actors can't actually hold their breath that long.
Right.
So it's like, like James Cameron has had to create new ways of filming just to make Avatar and Avatar 2. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're not willing to go to those lengths, I don't want to see any 3D animation
Yeah.
from you. Like, just stick to 2D. Just have the people draw it and cut them together and make a regular show.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to do a whole 3D show. It's just not gonna work. And there's a couple shows that looked interesting that I wanted to watch, but I couldn't because they were 3D. Like, what's that show? Rawby, I think it's Rawby.
Oh, Ruby.
Ruby. Like, that was another one. I was like, this looks interesting. Then I turned it on. I was like, nope. Like, I'm not doing it. I can't do the 3D. But I was like, it was one of the, and there's another one, Darling in the Franxx.
Oh yeah.
And I don't usually even like Gundam animes, but
I
that
don't
one
either.
actually looked pretty good.
Yeah. That and Gurren Lagann was an exception for me too when it comes to Gundam anime.
Yeah, yeah. And there was another one that I used to watch when I was a kid, called Zoids.
Oh, I've
That was
heard of
also
that.
really good. But the reason I like Zoids was because it wasn't a typical Gundam where they're like fighting kaiju or like monsters and stuff like that, or aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And because the Gundams weren't people, the Zoids were animals. They were animal Gundams,
Mm.
and they were battling each other. It was like a league
Oh shit. That
where
actually.
they fought each other.
Oh yeah. That actually reminds me of another anime, Code Geass. It was like that too. They weren't
Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
actual kaiju's or monsters. It was just they had mechs and they was like fighting each other or fighting other countries that also had mechs too.
Yep. Yep.
And it wasn't all battle based. Like it was like politics and the story was
Exactly.
really good.
Yep. Exactly. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed because with Zoids they also sold a lot of action figures too. I
Yeah.
think they I don't know if they partnered with like Lego or whatever, but they sold the actual Zoids where you could put them together,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them had batteries and they would actually like walk around. But for the most part, they were like collector's items. Like, you could
Mm-hmm.
put them together. If you wanted, you could paint them,
Yep.
and they were like just different. There were different ones, and you can collect them. So that was cool too. But with a lot of Gundam anime, even like some movies like Pacific Rim, I did not like Pacific Rim all that much.
No. It was not enjoyable.
And the fact that they made a second one, I was like, this. I don't know who watched the first one and said I want to see more of that,
Not me.
but I was like, this is. It was like a Gundam anime in live action,
Pretty much.
but it was like even. I don't want to say worse, but it was like the fact that they had to have like two pilots, and the
Oh
pilots'
yeah.
minds had to be in sync, and I
That
was
was
like,
doing
this
too
is
much.
just it's too much. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, this is just you're making it even weirder than it already is. So yeah, so typically I shy away from that kind of stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, if something is like has a good story
Yep.
and the animation is fairly good, I'll watch just about anything. But
Same.
a lot of Gundam animes, same story.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, people in giant suits fighting aliens or fighting monsters.
In outer space.
Yeah, yeah. Or in outer space. And see, that's another reason why I like Kaiju number 8 so much, is because it's essentially a Gundam anime minus the Gundams. It's like
like you
it's
like you are the kaijus.
yeah, yeah. Like, we're still fighting Kaiju, but we're just doing it. Like,
Yeah.
we're not getting in giant robots to do it. Like, we're just gonna get some guns.
Oh yeah, that is true though. They all use weapons.
Yeah, like,
Like, they don't-
we're just gonna get some guns and some knives, and we're just gonna go fight monsters.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need giant robots. we are the giant robot.
We are the giant robots.
Like that's cool. I thought that was cool. Same thing
Hmm.
with Chainsaw Man. Like it's they're fighting monsters, but it's not like we got to get some special suits
Yeah.
or anything like that. It's like, you're just fighting.
Yeah,
Like
basically.
some people are better at it than others.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like anime that does that too. Like they have special weapons, or they become they become the demons or the monsters themselves in order to
Right.
fight back.
Right. Yeah. Like demons not Demon Slayer. Demons, well, yeah, you could throw in
I
Demon
guess
Slayer
Demon Slayers too. Yeah,
with the swords, the Nichiren swords. I think I'm
yeah,
pronouncing that right.
yeah. The Nichiren swords.
Um and then also the breathing techniques.
Hmm.
Bleach even, like becoming a soul reaper or being a soul reaper to kill hollows.
Yeah,
Some of the soul reapers even take on hollow powers.
Ichigo for one.
Yeah, so it's like stuff like that where it's like you don't need a giant suit.
Yeah,
You don't need like even you don't even need like one of those like animal partner things, which are cool
yeah.
too sometimes, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's kind of weird. Like I remember I used to watch this show when I was a kid called Spider Riders, which is an old anime that came out. It came out in like the late 90s, and they used to air in America on C CW Kids, I think, something like that, or UPS Kids.
Yeah.
No, not UPS.
CBS Kids.
CBS Kids. Yes. But like at night, like they never played animes
Hmm.
much during the day, except for like Pokemon.
Yeah.
But it was like it was an isekai, and the story was cool. But when I watched it again as an adult, I was like, this is a little weird
Hmm.
because the story was about like this guy who gets it's an isekai, like he goes into not a different world, but he finds out that there's like a world within the core of Earth,
Oh.
sort of like an Alice in Wonderland type of thing, where he like falls into this ravine or crevice or whatever, and he like goes down into this other world,
Yeah.
and he finds out that there are people living there, and there's giant spiders, and there are these other insects that are like they're kind of like ants, they're like giant ants,
Hmm.
and the people and the spiders work together to fight the ants.
Oh. Hence the
And
name
it's
Spider Riders.
right, which as a concept was cool. But
Hmm.
then I watched it again, and like the spiders themselves make no sense. Like they're like armor plated. They've got like like gemstone like eyes. Like they just didn't look right. They look like Gundams. They look like machines.
uh.
So I was like, all right, this it'd be different if it was like an armor,
Yeah.
like a regular spider. But I guess they just didn't want to draw regular spiders because I guess spiders freak people out. But
Hmm.
I was like, as a concept, this would be cool, but it just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes that happens too, where you might have a good concept, but it's just executed poorly. But then other
Hmm.
times you have a poor concept or a overused or uh, super popular concept, but you just do it so well that it's like it stands out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Kaiju number 8 is for me. It's one of those shows where if you put them in giant suits, it's just any other Gundam anime
Hmm.
or a manga. But the fact that you take the suits away is what makes it sort of stand on its own.
Yep.
And then the way they like work, like the power system and everything, just makes so much more sense. And it puts so much more emphasis on the characters
Yep.
because it's like I have to work to get stronger. I can't just upgrade my mech.
Hmm.
Like I have to actually do shit. Like I have to maybe work out or get better with my weapon or get a new weapon
Yep.
that's better suited to my skill set. It's not just like I get this giant sword from my giant robot. and now we can slay even gianter beasts and monsters. So sometimes I think that's the basis of why I'm not super into Gundams,
Yeah.
and the fact that the fight scenes can look kind of cheesy. Like you're telling me this giant robot is maneuvering like this, like he's doing
Right.
roundhouse kicks, like, and and there's just people on the ground like watching him. Like you're doing great. Like you should be miles away. If this
Like
thing
what you
just tips over, you're all
right,
dead.
right.
But yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's still anime. It's still cartoons. I guess most people don't care about that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, what are you looking forward to? Here's a question I wanted to ask you too. Of all the things that you know of that are coming out, about to come out, maybe have just been announced. What is one thing? Anime, manga, movie. What are one thing that you're really looking forward to that you want to happen now?
Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I yeah, I'm really excited about Chainsaw Man. I would love for Kaiju number 8 to get one too, but like I said before, I don't think it comes out often enough.
Yeah.
If they did an anime, it would catch up in like a month.
Mhm.
No, not a month. Maybe like a year. Because there's like 64 chapters right now, I think, and they come out every 2 weeks. If you make an anime for 64 chapters and you have it come out weekly, you're caught up in a month.
Yeah.
I mean a year, excuse me.
A year.
Um
Yeah.
Maybe year and a half, because it's 52 weeks in a year. So after a year, you'll have 64 episodes or 52 episodes, and there will be only another what 26 to go, 26 chapters ahead. So, or no, 36. Sorry. So I think the fact that the release schedule is so slow, it probably won't get an anime anytime soon. But
But
Chainsaw Man, I am definitely excited for.
yeah, it's like one of those mangas that like deserves to be an anime.
It's one of them that will be better as an anime probably,
Yeah.
because some of the dialogue was a little hard to keep up with for me.
What, in the
Not
manga?
I shouldn't say the dialogue, but like the some of the action as far as like where and when certain things were happening
Oh, yeah.
was
I
a
get you.
little hard to keep up with for me. Like when they go to, I mean, I'm pretty sure they went to hell,
Yeah.
but then it's like the hell devil was weak.
That
It was like I don't know. It was like it was sort of weird.
yeah. The actual hell devil being weak. That's where devils originally originate
Right.
from. I would assume the hell devil would be like a problem.
And it was I mean, they sort of explain it in a way where it's like the things that people fear the most are
Oh yeah.
what ends up being the strongest devil, but at the same time, even with all the gun violence in the world, you're really telling me people fear guns more than
More
the
than half.
actual devil?
Yeah, right.
Like I can knock a gun out of somebody's hand. I don't know what I'm supposed to do if the actual devil comes for me.
Right.
Like I don't know. It was one of those things that, like, again, in the anime, when there's action and stuff happening, people probably won't care as much.
Yeah.
When you're reading a manga, story becomes way more important because nothing's moving. So you don't have all the glitz and glamour of like the action sequences and the fight scenes and all the
Mhm.
animation and everything like that to kind of overshadow some of the like lower points in a story.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, Demon Slayer is definitely one that might be reaping the same benefits
Mhm.
because reading it was definitely a different experience than watching it.
Yeah.
Watching it was way better. Demon Slayer is one of the few animes that even though I've read the whole manga, I'm still going to watch the whole anime.
Same.
Like after I finished reading uh Naruto, I didn't really like it took a while before I finished actually watching it. With Bleach, it was the same way. With One Piece, it was the same way. Like for a long time, I did not watch the One Piece anime. I actually still kind of don't. Like I watched the first scene with Kaido. I watched that. I watched certain episodes that I know were gonna be crazy fights.
I know, right? Especially during the Marineford arc.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I at that point I was still just watching it. I
Yeah, I
hadn't
was
started
watching
reading
it
it.
too.
I hadn't started reading it yet. I didn't start reading it until I got to Zoe.
Really?
Yeah, because when I first started One Piece, I was anime only
Mm-hmm.
from 2015 up until whenever Whole Cake Island started, which was around I want to say 2017 or 2016. Um, maybe 2016. No, 2017. 2017. So for those first 2 years, I was anime only, and in 2 years, I caught up. And at that point in time, they were just getting to Zoe. So
Right.
that was when I started reading it. And
Mm-hmm.
when obviously the manga is way further ahead than the anime is. So
Yep.
I read all through Zoe, and then I read like
Mm-hmm.
the first half of Whole Cake Island. And at that point, I was caught up.
Yep.
So I'm still relatively recent to being caught up in terms of like the arcs. I
Mm-hmm.
just got caught up an arc ago. But I've been watching the show since 2015. That's how long it's taken me to get caught up. It took me, what was that? 3 years.
3 years.
Two and a half, two
Two
and a
and a
half
half.
to get completely caught up. Yeah, and that was because again I was anime only. If I was
Mm-hmm.
reading the manga for 2 years, I probably would have been caught up way sooner. Probably
Oh
like a
yeah.
year and a half. Probably like a year. Probably like a year and a half maybe of just straight reading
Mm-hmm.
the manga. Because when you're watching 20-minute anime episode, that's 4 episodes. That's like over an hour.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a lot harder to get caught up when you're just watching than when you're reading. When you're reading, you can read 15 chapters like 30 chapters in an hour.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So it was definitely it took a lot longer because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are definitely some manga that it's like I'll read it, but I would prefer it as an anime. Doctor Stone was kind of one of those.
Yeah. I
Like
prefer watching it as it.
reading Doctor Stone was tough.
Yeah.
That was a hard read. You were basically reading a textbook. Like you were basically reading a science textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Watching it is a lot easier because you're seeing it happen as they're sitting there, as Senku,
Yeah. Senku.
Senku, as he's explaining it, he's doing it. So you're
Yep.
like, it's a little bit more interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
just reading it was tough. Each Senku text bubble was like a paragraph.
Just explaining like the element or the compound he needed
Yeah,
to make the thing. Yeah.
right, right. It was a hard read, and
Mm.
I eventually put it down when I heard that the anime was starting. I was like, all right, because at one point, Doctor Stone was like supposed to be part of the new Big Three. The new Big Three was supposed to be like Doctor Stone, My Hero, and Black Clover.
Yeah.
But then Doctor Stone kind of fell out. Then Promise Neverland came up, but then
That's
Promise Neverland was like kind of fell off after the uh what is it? I can't remember the name of it. The first arc. The first arc of Promise Neverland was the best. After
that's
that, it
what
kind
people
of fell
telling
off.
me.
Yeah, after that, it kind of it fell off as far as viewership. I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was really good, but a lot of people didn't enjoy it quite as much after that first arc.
Mm.
Um, so it's like, for the most part, My Hero was the only one that stuck around as like, and as far as popularity goes.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's the only one that's had a long enough run
Mm-hmm.
and had the viewership for the entire time. Black Clover has the viewership's gone up and down.
Yeah.
Doctor Stone, the viewership has gone up and down. Promise Neverland, the viewership has gone up and down. It's gone way down since they took so long to come out with the second season.
Yep.
So, and then on top of that, most people stop reading / watching the story after the first arc anyway. So, you know, Dr. Stone was definitely, that was part of the reason why I started getting into it, was because everybody was like, oh, this is the new big three. And I was like, all right, well, I got to check this out. And, you know, I watched it, or I read it. It was pretty good. It got kind of hard to read. And then it got kind of hard to believe when some of these guys, because they're only, because like their main antagonist or whatever, his whole thing is that he doesn't like adults.
Yeah.
So he's only like reviving kids or like people who are underage. But then when you see like his little army of people that he's revived, it's like, these are not kids.
These are
these are grown ass men. Even he's like, he killed a lion like with his bare hands. Like these are not. And you're telling me before this all happened, these were regular teenagers. Right. And he was regarded as the strongest teenager in the world, which I don't know how you come to that conclusion. But even then, it's like, no, I don't care who the strongest teenager in the world is. Nobody's killing a lion with their bare hands and coming out without a scratch on them.
Right.
Like, that's just not happening. And then when he like started reviving like his little army, I was like, yo, this guy's bald. Yo. It's like when you're watching a high school movie, like a movie that's supposed to be like in high school, and you just pause it and just look at some of the kids in the class, and it's like, yo, this guy's got a full-on goatee.
Right.
Like these are not people in high school. Like, that's how Dr. Stone was. I was like seeing some of the people he's reviving, I was like, he must have changed his mind.
Right.
Because like this guy's got a tattoo. Like I'm like, these are not teenagers. He must be picking like the roughest looking teenagers.
I guess
ever.
so.
But then at the same time, it's like, did you just look at their statues and be like, yeah, he looks about 17?
No, right.
Like, or did you know all these people beforehand? Because how do you know that they're teenagers before you revive them? What if one guy's just short?
I guess you had to find out.
Yeah, it's like you do. And then what if you do accidentally revive an adult? And then just like, no, I'm actually 21.
Like, killed on the spot.
Let's try another one. Let's try that guy. It's like, I was like, this doesn't make sense. He doesn't make sense. Which, again, like they fleshed out his character enough that it's like, all right, I understand his motivation, but the way he's going about it is just so weird.
Yeah. That
it becomes a little hard to watch. Like it becomes a little hard to keep up with.
Yeah. Because
it's just it's so unrealistic. Like when he killed that lion, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this.
And then he started crushing the fucking statues with his bare hands as well.
Yeah, like not knocking them over, just punching the heads off, like
right,
like just squeezing them until they just collapsed into tiny little pebbles. And I'm just like, that's supposed to be solid rock, right?
Right. No normal high schooler or no normal teenager is doing that type of shit. Not
at all. Not at all. I was like, this has to be somebody with powers.
Right.
But then it was just like, no, he's just that strong. And I'm just like, this is that stupid. Like, this doesn't make sense at all. And then on top of that, he's like not even a big dude.
Yeah.
Like he's fairly normal sized. If anything, the other guy, I forget his name, the other protagonist, the one who has the girlfriend, he's probably bigger, like buffer than the other guy is.
Is he?
They made a really big deal out of him being really strong. Like just physically strong. Not a strong like fighter.
But just strong in general.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's weird. Dr. Stone's a weird one. If you like science, which I do, you'll probably enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy it. It was just a little weird. Mm-hmm. And it got a little out of hand sometimes with the reading. It was a lot to read.
Yeah.
It got to the point where it was like, is this faster than just watching an episode? Like, is this actually... Like, I've had to reread this text bubble 3 times. Like, I don't know if this is. I should just wait. Like, I should just wait for the episode to come out. It was becoming like studying.
Right.
I'm like, this is less entertainment and more like just straight up reading.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, hey, reading's entertaining, but reading like how to make a light bulb from scratch, that's not the kind of reading that I really want to do. So yeah. So with that, Tyrese, do you have any closing statements or any other statements that you would like to make? Things you'd like to talk about?
Let's see. Let's see. There was one, and I ended up forgetting about it. It was something. It was something Demon Slayer related. I ended up forgetting about it. Damn it.
Okay. Oh, was it about the next season?
Yeah. The Swordsmith Village.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Same. We get.
That's when shit gets crazy.
Yep.
Which I know to anybody who's just like coming off of the last arc who hasn't read the manga, for me to say this is when shit gets crazy,
Mm-hmm.
like you might think it's an exaggeration, is really not. Like shit is about to actually get crazy.
Yep.
Because after this, it's nonstop action.
Mm-hmm.
Like after the entertainment district, there's a brief like lull where they kind of, you know, recover and like, you know, get back on their feet. Once the Swordsmith Village, once that action starts, it's nonstop.
Yep.
Up
It was
until the
constant
very
with
end.
it. Yep.
Yeah, up until the very end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much looking forward to that. And I thought it was cool just reading it, like the fact that there is a Swordsmith Village to begin with, because it's like when you think about how many Demon Slayers there are, that's a lot of fucking swords.
That's true. Yeah.
And up until we get to this arc, we've only been introduced to 2 swordsmiths.
Haneska and Inosuke's swordsmith.
Yeah, so it's like it does make sense that there is way more. There's a whole village. There's a whole village of them dedicated to making swords, just for the Demon Slayers, and they're close by.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is cool. This was a little bit of exposition that I didn't realize I needed until now.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything goes to shit.
Yep.
So
It always does.
Yep, it always does. It pretty much does. But
Nighttime
that's why we
is
love it.
Literally, yep. Nighttime is literally the most dangerous time in that anime and in that manga too.
Yep.
Nobody
Which
stays
is
during nighttime.
as if nighttime isn't scary enough.
Right.
Like nighttime in the woods in like pre like electrical grid, like nationwide electrical grid. Like some parts of them are still in like the feudal era almost. Like some of them are still just burning wood for light.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, imagine how scary nighttime is, just that in that when you can't have like flashlights or street lights or anything like that. And then on top of that, there's like demons who only come out at night. Yeah, roaming about. And the Swordsmith Village really should be one of the safest places in all of Japan. And it gets fucked.
Yeah.
It just gets completely wrecked. But yeah, we won't give away too much. Do you know when that comes out?
That's a good question. I thought it'd be like sometime this year, but last time I heard,
I don't know if they're gonna do this year.
Yeah, last time I heard about it, that's when the entertainment district was ending. I didn't hear anything else after that.
I also have to get into Spy. Is it Spy X Family or just Spy Family?
It's like Spy Family, like Hunter x Hunter. It's just like
that. How? Why is that? I wonder if they did that on purpose, like just like Hunter x Hunter.
I was wondering about that too.
But I hear good things about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. You watched it?
I've watched 6 episodes of it. I'm waiting for the other 6 to come out.
Okay. I gotta get into that, and then I gotta. Go ahead.
I don't think the manga is like done. They just hit volume 9 of the manga. It's still going.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I like that. I like to start something while it's still going.
Yep.
Because there have been so many like anime that I've started after they've ended, that like it felt super quick.
Yep.
Even if it wasn't like a super short anime, it felt way quicker. Like Kenichi, uh, what is it? Kenichi, what's it called? Kenichi, the strongest disciple, I think it's called. Um,
Oh, the world's strongest disciple.
yes, that.
I've heard.
I read another one called Reborn. That was really good. That ended before I started watching it. Fairy Tail ended before I started watching it, but by the time I got to the end, I didn't really care about that anymore. Um, it was like, it was one of those things that like, by the time it got to the end, I was just like, yeah, this can go ahead and end. Like, we can let this die. And then on top of that, I made the mistake of reading, or reading, because I read a little bit of it too, of reading Fairy Tail or watching Fairy Tail before One Piece. So as a lot of people know, Fairy Tail is a lot of people consider it kind of like a One Piece ripoff. And
Really, that's the first I heard of it.
yeah, because of the characters.
Oh, because Lucy is supposed to be the Nami of the story, and Natsu is supposed to be like Luffy or whatever.
And Gildarts is Shanks.
And Gildarts is Shanks because they do look similar.
Yeah, so it's like, and then on top of that, like the guild, like the idea of the guild and like the pirate crews, like the different guilds and the pirate crews and things like that. Like a lot of people see Fairy Tail as being sort of like a One Piece knockoff. Same way like a lot of people see Black Clover being sort of like a Naruto knockoff. Whereas like the characters are just designed, they're designed differently, but they've got like the same vibes.
Yeah.
And the same, for the most part, the same goals as well. Naruto wants to be Hokage, Asta wants to be Wizard King. Ino wants the same thing, but they're both like, going about it different ways. One's super chill, the other one's super like loud and annoying. Like, it's more or less very similar, like almost the same. So when I started watching Fairy Tail and I liked it, a lot of people were like, huh? Like, what do you mean you like it? And I was like, yeah, it's good. And they were like, it's just a One Piece knockoff. And I was just like, wow, I mean, I've never watched One Piece, so I don't really care. Then I started reading One Piece, and by the time I started reading One Piece, Fairy Tail had ended. But I went back and like watched a little bit of Fairy Tail, and I was like, yeah, this isn't good. I was like, I can see why people don't like it now. Like it makes a little bit more sense why a lot of people thought I was weird for liking the show. But I don't know. If you're out there and you like Fairy Tail, hats off to you. But
more power to you like it.
Yeah, more power to you. You don't what is it? You don't yuck someone else's yum. Is the saying. But I still do it sometimes. But anywho, that I believe will be it for us this week. If you want to hear more about One Piece, specifically like the stuff that's happening now, you can head over to my YouTube channel. I'll have it, I'll have it somewhere. I don't know. But if you're following me on Instagram, it's in the link in my bio. Of course, you can follow Tyrese on Instagram as well. We're gonna have our social medias linked below. Follow us and follow the Lowlights Network on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and like all of our videos, and send us some money and some chocolate. I don't know. I'm just making requests now. But yeah, I think that'll be it for this week. We will see you guys later. Peace out.
Peace.